People make a world of difference on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. People like commentator Bill Moyers, concerned, insightful. Charles Kuralt, warm, understanding. And White House correspondent Leslie Stahl, enterprising, tenacious. Watch for them on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
This is CBS.
My daughter said to me, "Mom, do you think you're dying?" And I said yes.
I just know with my disease I won't be around very much longer. And when it comes time for me to go, what on earth is Papa gonna do with a 3-year-old and a dying husband in the same house?
I could live a year, I could live 2 years, you don't know. However, at the same time, I've been reading a lot about cancer, and people do suddenly get better. It's very mysterious.
Preoccupied with living, we rarely contemplate the one certainty in our own life, death. And when the news comes that we may die, all of us will face it alone. Our families may be too young to understand, they may be too far away, or too terrified to help us through the days, the months, or even years that remain.
Having a sickness like mine forces you to live in the present.
But sometimes there is help to be found from strangers, people who can provide emotional support to the dying and to those closest to them. They are volunteers, unique in that they are people who have chosen to reach out to help the dying and their survivors. The Bible says there is a time to live and a time to die. They are intertwined. I'm Marlene Sanders. Tonight, we will see how some remarkable people are facing death. It's late afternoon in Cambridge, Massachusetts. 3-year-old Remy is home from nursery school.
It's called mocha almond.
What?
Mocha almond.
To an outsider, life appears ordinary, routine. But it is not what it seems.
How late did Remy take it?
Not now, not for Barbara and Jack Trahant. They try to maintain a normal atmosphere, knowing that their family will not be intact much longer. Jack is 38 years old, unable to work any longer at his job teaching handicapped children. He has only a short time left to live.
I had dizzy spells and early last summer, and they were, I thought maybe they would due to an ear infection that I had last spring, real bad ear infection. Then they got worse, and they were accompanied by real bad headaches. And first we thought they might be migraines. But then I started seeing black spots in the daytime and white spots at night. And finally I had a seizure last fall around the end of October. And when I was taken to the hospital, they found the 3 brain tumors. And actually it had started in the lung, although I'm a non-smoker. It started with lung cancer, so I don't know how to explain that. And it spread to the brain and the spine. And the prognosis was 6 to 12 months. So I've lived a little beyond. I've lived almost 13 months. I've gone a little beyond the statistics. And they can't give me good statistics. But I know a woman in my group who had nearly the same disease I had, who died at 15 months, and my doctor said that would be a good guess. But now I have a lump that I found last Friday in one of the lymph glands, so the lymph system is involved. And But I wasn't even concerned over it because it's, as I said, it's like carrying coals to Newcastle. I think the brain cancer is what's going to do me in.
I want you to look across there, and even if I come in front of you, just look right through me, and you can blink as much as you want.
In my case, up until now, the treatment was worse than the disease.
Right here. Okay, if you can just put your head forward just a little.
I went through radiation treatments for a couple of months last year, and they made me very sick. I had to be hospitalized for several weeks, and then I felt lousy until almost the beginning of summer.
How did you
I just was tired, and my hair all fell out, and I couldn't eat, and my weight was way down. And it was causing me a little pain, and I was just rubbing my neck. The only thing they can do is pain medication. There's no further radiation. There's only minimal radiation possible, and now the lymph system is involved.
It's about 2.5 now.
I'm glad I had an extra year with my son and my wife. But I said, I don't have to be crucified just to go on another few months.
Hey, Jack. This might be the last time I see you because my rotation ends this week. So it's been a pleasure visiting with you.
It's been my pleasure too, and good luck.
I've learned a lot, and I appreciate you're being so open with me.
Good.
Okay.
Glad.
Good. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
The daily burden of living with cancer is hard to share. Family members usually find the situation too painful to be helpful. Many are afraid to talk about cancer or even to contemplate the death of someone close to them.
Time here at 1:30. Is that convenient? 1:30?
Okay.
Jack has found support from a self-help group in Cambridge called Focus that concentrates on the problems faced by people who have terminal illnesses.
It was kind of hard to talk to Barbara and other members of my family because they didn't have the disease I have. It was nicer to go to the focus group at first, and it's still nice to go there because you can talk to other people who have cancer.
I'm here because I have cancer of the bones, mostly the right hip, and of both lungs.
Yes. I'm Arthur Pike. My wife, Jane, has had cancer for 6.5 years. We've been deeply involved with trying to cope with that situation. Jane right now is in the hospital, so that's another immediate presenting problem.
My name is Jack Hunt, and I have cancer of the lung, brain, and bone.
The focus group is part of a larger program called Omega, founded to deal with the many aspects of death and dying.
I'm Rosalind Sullivan. I have cancer of the lungs and breast.
Each month, Omega makes it possible for Jack and other cancer patients and their relatives to get together and discuss their common problems.
But I'm living.
I'm Josephine Houlihan, and I have cancer. I had a mastectomy done, and I'm in remission after a series of chemotherapy treatments.
What I'd like to do at
The group is run by a Catholic priest, Tom Welch.
And maybe indicate for us why it is you're here tonight.
I've been getting sicker in the last month, and I only was given a few months to live last year, and now I've lived nearly a year. And now that I'm getting sicker, and I see that Jane and Kay have suddenly taken such serious turns for the worse, that it's not a joke. It's something that can really happen, and it might be happening to me right now. And I'm not afraid of it. But I guess I am kind of resentful because I have a 3-year-old and I'll never see him grow up.
You know, in a sense, I don't think we really leave our families. A part of us stays with them through our children, through our love for our spouses and whatever. I had an experience where I was down with a virus of all things, you know, to be worried about running a temp, so I was confined to bed. And I was upstairs. We have a 2-floor house. I was upstairs, and I could hear all the living going on downstairs, and I was sitting back in bed. I was propped up on several pillows, and I was comfortable at that moment. And I had this strange feeling. I could hear all the activity going on downstairs, and I was up elevated on the 2nd floor. And I thought to myself, how nice. How nice. I was like looking down, hearing all the activity going on, and I felt the spirit. I wasn't there downstairs, but I had this feeling of spirit, and I thought to myself, well, I guess this is what it's all about. That feeling, I'm still part of this family, I'm still part of life, and I'm going to be, and this is perhaps what it's going to feel like. I don't know. No one has ever told us what it feels like, but it was a great feeling, and I learned a little bit, not entirely, a little bit about the acceptance of where I'm at today, and perhaps this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know. But it's one day at a time, and that experience has never left me, and when I really get depressed days, I really think about that moment.
I was thinking, I set goals. I have little goals. I used to have big goals for years from now. Now my goals are little goals. I have a new grandchild coming in 2 months. I want to see that grandchild. I want to be here for Christmas this year. I set very small goals.
You know, I can react to that from the other side when you say, I wonder if you'll be here for Christmas, because I feel that way about Jane. She's been a little 2.5 weeks in the hospital, and after a week, she touched a very low point in some ways, or perhaps you could call it a high point. Over this last weekend, what's a word that we've used before? I think we're all talking about it, maybe having some quality time. And Jane and I had some quality time together. But just as you said that about, could we be together for Christmas? I'm not sure that that's going to be. And that really hit hard.
I'd like to come back to Jack for a minute, because it feels like you're on the downside of that yo-yo right now, and you have a lot of guilt about being there. Wondering if there's some way that we could help you look at that, or if there's some response that we could make that would be more helpful than just leaving you there.
You know, it would be in some ways a relief to me to get real sick and die, and I do feel guilty about that. But I just feel sometimes I'm just burdened, burdened with all the things that I have to do, burdened with life, and yet I can't get a job. I feel tired all the time. I feel half sick, and yet I have to take care of my child and be involved in things in my son's daycare center and in my wife's interests, and all these things that are, you know, part of life. And I just don't have the energy for it. Right. A lot of the time, I just feel sick, and then I guess I feel guilty for wanting to get good and sick and die.
I can really relate to what you're saying about responsibilities, but I think it's a thing within us before we even became ill. And then we have to cope with both the cancer and with ourselves, our own personalities. And I think each person approaches their disease with a different viewpoint, yet I think there's a common denominator here among us. You know, the sense of the feeling guilty because we have responsibilities. And we can't be sick right now. We have to fulfill those responsibilities.
Does that sound true for you, Jack? The fact that you're putting this on yourself in terms of feeling responsible in a way that makes you feel guilty?
Yeah, it's really my own psychological problem. I have to deal with it, I think. It's because everybody around me is more than willing to help out and make things easy for me. But maybe if I were raised like the Queen of England was used to being waited on, then I would be used to not having any responsibilities, not, you know, leaving a sink full of dirty dishes. One job I do is I usually put the baby to bed, because I sing to him and sing him and myself asleep, and so I get an early evening nap too, as well as he does sometimes, and that's something I willingly take on usually. Besides, I think I have a better voice than Barbara.
I had breast cancer. Now, that really, the same idea came to me when I lost one breast. And I thought of the beautiful Greek statues that often don't have a head or an arm or very vital parts to them, and yet they remain beautiful. Because I thought, well, beauty is something very elusive and intangible and hasn't that much to do with being physically whole. It's a matter of harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eve Morgan is 38 years old, divorced and responsible for her 2 small children while she lives each day with cancer. Nancy Harrington Elliott is one of 30 Omega volunteers who work with terminally ill patients. Eve Morgan has been able to face whatever time remains to her in part because of help from Omega.
The dying process, I've thought a lot about that during my life. I realized, for many reasons, that we don't die. You know, it's the body that dies. And this is not just a religious belief or something like that. I just know it. Dying itself, it could almost be. I mean, almost exciting, the idea, like an adventure, or. But what frightens me is sickness and pain. Not dying.
I feel like that word dying is not accurate, because the people that I work with are alive. And what they're doing is going, you know, within a process of leaving, of exiting this life.
Did you see the doctor?
But they're as alive as you and I, in many ways. I mean, their bodies may be telling them that,
Did you say anything about,
you know, well, your body can't take it anymore.
No,
but their spirit's still there.
I guess any kind of unexpected so-called misfortune in life, shows, or especially disease or the threat of the imminent death in some way, just shows us how precarious our position is. But this isn't necessary, and this is our real position. We just aren't aware of it most of the time.
Right.
But this isn't.
The tensions can be so high and the feelings so high that it's easier for them to open up and to talk to someone outside that situation. So they feel freer to talk to. They feel like, well, they need an outlet.
It is delicate and precarious.
You know, that's what we're there for. Yet I feel like the people that we work with give us an incredible gift, that they allow us to be with them. I mean, they entrust us with their friendship, with their confidentiality, with their lives. I mean, total strangers. Why should they do it? It works both ways.
But 3 months after first going to Omega, Eve Morgan believed her health was improving and no longer felt the need to attend the focus meetings.
Right now, I have my mind on getting well and not on, you know, whereas the focus meetings are really for people who are definitely thinking of terminal illness, that the mind is going in another direction. And it's very valid for that, but my mind is on getting better right now. So I stopped going.
Do you have medical evidence that you are getting better?
Yeah, I do. I did x-rays about a month ago, and the doctor was very pleased. I mean, it's still dramatic, the situation, but it's half as dramatic, put it that way, you know.
So your frame of mind about the future is that?
I'm definitely, it's interesting, because first when I found it, I thought, okay, I'm going to die, you know. And my only thought was, well, I don't want to do more chemotherapy. I don't want to, you know, have a lot of unnecessary unpleasantness about it, and, you know, live my last months as well as I can. But then at a certain point, which is interesting, I just very little thought that, well, maybe I can, you know, maybe I can get better, you know. And I began reading some books on, and there are cancer patients who do get better, you know, so why not me? Well, of course me.
You were never outraged?
That I could get cancer? Why should it happen to me? It happens to so many people. I mean, why should I be exempt?
Cancer also struck Jane Pike. Although she had 2 daughters to raise, Jane chose to spend her remaining days helping other cancer victims and their families. A self-described cancer militant, she helped start the Omega program and spread the word that cancer could be talked about.
The topic tonight is cancer, living with it, maybe even dying from it. 5 years ago, when Jane Pike was 45 years old, a routine annual medical examination revealed that she had cancer.
On January 29, 1981, Jane Pike appeared on a Boston public television talk show. She had said in the past, and would re-emphasize again, that for her and others like her, they were living with cancer, not dying from it.
This phrase, dying from cancer, am I now speaking to a woman who is dying from cancer?
I don't think so. I feel very strongly about that, for myself and for other people, that as long as the cancer patient is alive, they are living with cancer and coping with it, and living as productive a life as they can possibly do.
So you hate that phrase?
I don't like to hear that people are dying from cancer. I had the experience of my daughter when she was about 13, 14, coming home telling me that one of her friends couldn't play with her, couldn't go with her, because the friend's father said, after all, her mother is dying from cancer. You don't want to go with Sarah, the daughter. And I was just infuriated. First of all, that he should somehow think that his daughter would pick up something from Sarah because I had cancer. But most of all because he considered me as dying. And that was 4 years ago.
What's the prognosis?
Of my
your
illness? I can't give you a time, but certainly I would think that another year I might see, maybe 2. I don't like to put figures on it. I'll be around tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm Web Brown.
9 months later, Jane Pike lay dying in a Cambridge hospital.
Jane was very helpful into the lives of people who had cancer as well, and she saw this as something of her own ministry. Jane had always been a helpful person in her life, so that she wasn't going to be much different from that when she became ill. So she looked for ways to continue to be a support into the lives of people, and found that she could put her cancer to work.
The idea, I'd say, would be central for her was trying to get people to realize that cancer was something that could be talked about, that one didn't have to back away from it. You could share the feelings, whether they were happy or sad. She took it probably even further for herself, trying to reach out to as many people as possible. Please talk, I think, was her key message.
It has shown me a new road. It has shown me how to focus on a life that is much more here and now, and a life that is doesn't move very fast, and it moves more slowly as I move along. I have also learned to believe in God. He's in my body, in my mind, he's everywhere. And when I die, and we're all going to die, for heaven's sake, when I die, he will just be there. And it won't hurt. Nothing's gonna hurt.
So there's no fear for you? You might want to rest. I'll be back to see you.
What about you folks?
I got the impression the first week she was here that if I tried to ask her, how do you feel about dying? How do you feel about how you are? What's your feelings about being here in the hospital? She would pull her lips together as if this were a thought that I don't want to deal with right now. She's ready to go with it. And it's hard. I'm sure I've made some sort of peace with it myself.
On November 6, 1981, Jane Pike died.
Jane saw what fell into her life in terms of her illness and all of those trials that came about to be one of those random things in life. It just was. She found her peace and her comfort not in raising the unanswerable questions, but in a relationship with the God. But she gave us the greatest gift because she made us aware of that power within ourselves.
I think it was just fantastic that she went and you know, just forced people to say cancer. I think she did a lot of good like that.
Jack Trahant attended the memorial service for Jane Pike, the second member of his Omega group to die within a month.
I felt bad, but I don't feel as bad as I would have felt before I got sick. I know I'll be going the same way pretty soon. And they had known and accepted what was going to happen to them.
It's hard to understand how accepting it makes it any easier.
It's not easy. It's not easy for me because I have a 3-year-old son and I won't be a father to him. He won't even remember me. I'm almost certain. There'll be photographs and I keep a journal. And that's very hard for me. But, well, the idea of dying isn't
isn't that hard for me to accept.
He maketh me to lie down.
Because it is reality, it's going to happen.
Leadeth me beside the still water.
I'm just able to deal with reality, you know. If there are worse things than dying. If someone happened to my child, I think that would be far worse than anything that could happen to me.
I will fear no evil.
CBS Reports will continue.
When you expect someone to die, having gone through this long, drawn-out illness, is the mourning less painful?
I don't think so. I think my experience, the only comparison I could make would be with my father, who died some 25 years before. He died suddenly in one night of a heart attack, and I found that the mourning went on for a very long time, partly because I wasn't dealing with it. And with Jane's approaching death, because I was anticipating it and dealing with it, the happy times in between somehow seem happier, but the grief does hit pretty suddenly from time to time. And packing her slippers from the hospital and bringing them home was the pits.
Is the focus group useful to you during the mourning period? Does that help ease the pain a little?
Yes, I think so. I have been to one meeting since Jane has died. Someone reminded me that I've now changed role and I've become widowed. There is a group under Omega, which is the widowed group. I'm not sure at the moment whether I feel a need there yet, but I've heard enough about the sequence of losing a spouse that perhaps I'm really into a new chapter and do have to think about making a change, leaving what has been a support for my need at the time and moving on into some other support.
It's just about the end of the world. There's nothing else left at the beginning. There's absolutely nothing left. It's almost not worth living for.
Some members, past and present, of Omega's support group for the widowed, talk to us about their bereavement.
I wonder if you could sort of create for me something of our society handles issues around bereavement and loss in a very poor manner and leaves people relatively unsupported. The widow-to-widow program was an attempt to build in those kinds of supports that were really the missing piece in the lives of a lot of people. Maybe in sharing that, we can get some better insight into what ways we could respond to be more helpful to someone who's become widowed.
I think there's a complete sense of emptiness. The word loneliness is probably the proper word, and there's a complete feeling of despair. It's just like the end of the world. And I think the last thing that anybody should say is the same old cliches. But if you do want to say something, it has to be said in sincerity. And rather than say something that's a cliche, they're better off keeping quiet.
People do have very good intentions, and oftentimes they don't know what to say. In my case, my friends and my family were just wonderful and very supportive. You do find out who your friends are, you know, those who cannot handle it and will go away from your pain.
Did you become angry at some people for not being there?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and yet you couldn't tell them that.
I would go up into my room and close the door, and I mean, I would swear and I would curse. I would curse at God, I would curse at my husband, I would curse at my family. Where were they? And I would curse at somebody that I had probably run into the street that day that said, "Oh, you look fabulous. You'll be fine. You'll get married again one of these days." And I would call and I would cry. I'd say, "I don't want to get married again. I just want to get rid of all of these strange feelings and this anger and everything else that was going through my mind." I felt sometimes like I was going crazy. I had so many strange, conflicting feelings within me. I used to think, I'm either going crazy or I'm having a nightmare.
Especially that nobody had ever warned you about.
Yes,
No other widow had ever told me before how they felt.
I think the original question was asked, how do you feel inside? And my only description is the word lost in capital letters. I lost my wife 3.5 months ago. I'm the father of 9, grandfather of 35, great-grandfather of 2. Now, someone over here mentioned children. Now, it so happens that in my particular position, they're all married. I'm by myself in my apartment where my wife and I lived, trying to maintain it alone. Yet, there is no barrier. I don't mean to create that impression. But my children are so thoughtful of me that we have created a barrier that we don't talk about it, because they know that I'm suffering in a silent way, because unfortunately I never learned how to cry. And I was brought up in a town where you had to fight your way up. I was in the construction business. I've seen men die at work. I'm not unfamiliar with death because I have personally sat and strapped men to the electric chair in my duties years ago, previous to going to construction. So that the word death meant everything that it means to everyone sitting in this room. But when this happened to me, my wife, after 52 years of marriage and being a wonderful lady, don't ask me how to describe, only the word L-O-S-T, capital letters.
Is it sometimes more difficult for family members to be helpful to one another?
That's what I was going to bring out. I think the fact that we begin as strangers, and the fact that we're all in the same position, I think for this reason, we can talk about the death of a spouse much easier than we can with a son or a daughter or a cousin or a so-called friend.
And the only people that have helped me is these people that have met here. This lady here, lady behind me, that lady over there, helped me in the sense that they brought me around to the point where the true realization is there. Face reality. Stay with it. Get selfish. Look out for you. They never used the word selfish, but this is the way I interpret their meaning. And I'm grateful to them, and that's why I attend the meetings.
My problem was I never even came to Omega for 2.5 years. I told Alice I was a late bloomer. I kept a little article up on my bulletin board for 2.5 years. Well, because I was going to do it on my own. I didn't need anybody. I was going to, go to work. I was going to raise my daughter. Family, friends, I cut myself off really in the beginning from absolutely everybody. And then after 2.5 years, I came to Omega. So even though I've been widowed over 3 years, I haven't been in this group, all that long. So everybody comes at a different stage. And
Do you find that people have expectations that you're going to be over your grief within a certain period of time, maybe 6 months?
I think they're shocked with me sometimes. I mean, really.
I think there's a great misconception that people somehow feel that they're going to reach that 1-year anniversary and they say, I've made it. And somehow they feel that they're going to wake up the next day and things are going to be fine. They're going to be stronger. And now I'm going into my 3rd year, and you find that it sometimes gets worse during the 2nd year because you're doing it now for the 2nd time, and then the 3rd time. It's a 3rd Christmas and a 3rd anniversary and a 3rd birthday, and you're doing it alone, and it's not ever going to be what it was before. And so it really isn't stages. I don't look at it as stages because it's not a ladder you constantly climb. You go up, but you come down a rung.
One morning I remember it was, after 1.5 years, 2 years, I woke up and I felt terrible. I was in the bathroom looking in the mirror and I just said, this is it. I've had enough. I've gone through this for 2 years. I don't want any more. I want it right back the way it was, And you're a raving maniac saying that. It never can be. But I had it, and that was it. It was enough. It was time to go back to the way it was, as if you were in a terrible nightmare. And just by accepting the fact that you'd suffered some magical something or someone was going to say, "Are you suffered enough? Bring them back," you know. And that is a very difficult thing to accept, that it's not going to be again.
I'm practically an amateur here. Everyone here, I think, has got more time in insofar as being in bereavement. But I picked up the collegiate dictionary the other day and I looked up the word grief. There's only 10 words describes it. The man that wrote that never knew what it was to be in grief.
Good Lord.
That's my own personal observation. Maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, I'll say, well, he was intellectual, he wanted to make it short, he wanted to save ink or something. But to my way of thinking, he was a dope. I've never been there.
This is light green, this is dark green, this is light yellow. Look at this what I did.
Did you do that?
And this is...
I didn't have any hope of a recovery from the beginning. The doctor said the brain cancer is inoperable. It's located deep within the brain and is part and parcel of the brain tissue. And it's in 3 places.
And how is your wife bearing up?
She's bearing up well, but I don't think as well as I am, because she has to go on afterwards as a single parent.
Have you talked about that?
Yes. And, you know, her, I think it always comes down to how much she's going to miss me. And, you know, I'll be dead. I won't miss her or anything. It's harder for the survivors, I think.
We'll just be a family, Remy and I. I guess you mentioned it, I feel cheated or whatever. The way I really feel cheated is I feel like I'll certainly never find another partner. I feel that. It was just at a point in our life when we looked forward to Remy and Remy growing up, and there were so many things that we had made plans about. All that was come to a stop. I will face life by myself with my son.
Did you feel this was unfair? How did you react to it on another level?
I don't know. I think Jack's attitude sort of set the pace, and that he was very much accepting of the information and was willing to deal with it. And he sort of set the tone, I think. I don't think we went through the stages of fighting it or denying it or asking why me. And sometimes I wonder whether we should have gone through more of it, but at any rate, I don't think we did.
I've always been accepting, I think, of what has happened to me. Uncertainty is difficult to deal with. But I think if I were told I was going to be shot in the morning, I would say, well, I got 8 or 10 hours and I've got to do this and this and that. And I guess that's just the way I deal with things.
It strikes me that you have really maintained a wonderful sense of dignity and courage, too.
We've tried to. I think both my wife and I, we both have senses of humor, and I think that helps. And we've gone through difficult times. We've had squabbles and spats since I've been sick. We think it's due mostly to what we call the retired couple syndrome. Sometimes we see each other too much.
Do you want to stay home, be here at the end?
I want to, but I realize that there is also a 3-year-old, and his demands are legitimate. You have to hold a page. Maybe both our needs can't be met. We're prepared for that. You know, if we had a teenager or a grown-up child, I probably could stay home.
See how I'm cutting around like that?
And there are good hospitals around here, and our doctors are real supportive. And they know exactly what we want. I don't want any measures taken that to prolong life when I become really incoherent. And I don't want people coming in and giving doses of painkillers if I'm having a nice conversation. And the doctor said he'd do all of that. And
You've thought it all through?
Oh, yes. I've even written my funeral service and my memorial service. I wrote that this last weekend when I was down at the Cape visiting a friend, and I have it all written down. Everything is be very low key and to our taste, and instead of left up to institutions to take care of the last moments.
It just seems very unfair to me.
Well, I feel it's unfair, but it's also unfair to be born with Down syndrome, or to be born in the slums of Calcutta, or I could go on and on. And as I said, you know, I think there are worse things than cancer. And you could go through life living aimlessly, or you could have a retarded child. That's a burden I've never had to bear. And it isn't the worst thing that could happen.
Jack Trahant has died, as he knew he would. Jack had told us he believes there are worse things than dying, though most people probably don't feel that way. Dealing with death, at least, is more out in the open than it used to be. Groups like Omega are growing in many parts of the country, providing help for people who are overwhelmed by grief or fear as they face the loss of their own lives or of someone close to them. The people we have met tonight are confronting death and bereavement with dignity and courage we can only envy, and hope that when our own time comes, we can measure up to them. This is Marlene Sanders for CBS Reports.
Tomorrow's CBS News Sunday Morning looks at and behind the statistics of black teenage unemployment. And Peppermint Patty, she's for real, and she's the owner and general manager of a baseball team. This and more tomorrow on CBS News Sunday Morning with Charles Kuralt. Check your local listings for time.